heads around a little bit. They had, I would say, up until this point, underperformed relative to expectations, but we do see Soulfire Grandmasters and Monastery Mentors float around in decks. Joe Lissette's Mirror Heroic deck rather this weekend, also playing with Monastery Mentor.
These players are going to be going to game number 3 here. So we'll take a look at the sideboards very quickly. Adam Richard in his Abzan aggro deck, he does have 2 copies of Hunt the Hunter, 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Glare of Heresy, 2 Back to Nature, 3 Drown in Sorrow, 1 Veribos Nutter End, and 2 Nissa Worldwakers.
Well, not really a ton of action for this matchup. The Glare of Heresies are good against Jeskai Ascendancy and some of the white creatures that you mentioned. The Drowned Sorrows are nice in this matchup as well because the token deck floods the board with a bunch of cheap stuff. But not a lot going on here.
Other side, 4 Disdainful Stroke, 2 End Hostilities, 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Glare of Heresy, Stormbreath Dragon, a Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker, a Valorous Stance, Ushwing Griff, and an Erase.
So the question is, do you want to do the full conversion into a control deck in this matchup? The Abzan aggro deck does have the speed to punish you if you go a little bit too slow, but some people like that kind of conversion. So I think there's a good chance that you see the End Hostilities, Anger of the Gods, definitely the Glare of Heresies, and possibly Stormbreath Dragon and Sarkhan as well to facilitate a more of a late game approach here.
This build of Abzan aggro by Adam Richards, similar to what Boswell was doing in Washington, D.C. when the Boz made the top 8 there. It doesn't have Soldier of the Pantheon, but the reason that Andrew had that card was to get a leg up in the mirror.
Yeah, there's a lot of gold creatures floating around, and also helps in the control matchup where it just facilitates going 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, the type of openings you need to capitalize on the slower decks of the format.
Though, 3 copies of Warden of the First Tree, a card that a lot of players said they've liked in this deck and have liked overall.
Well, it is, again, another card people are still wrapping their heads around a little bit. I think that it got, if anything, too much hype during previous season, and people sort of stuck their nose up to it a little bit as a result of that. But it has been a player in these Abzan aggro decks, and it seems like it's going to stay as long as this deck is part of the metagame.
Oh, looks like Wiggins is going to take a mulligan here. We'll see if Richards can find something that he is happy with. He's happy enough with as he's sitting comfortably with his opening hand. Both these players off to great starts here in Houston. Certainly in top 8 contention as we make our way into the later rounds of the tournament.
And these token decks used to be really streamlined. But now as time has gone on, we see a lot more kind of 1s and 2-ofs floating around these lists, like 1 Jeskai Tarm, 2 Treasure Cruise, 2 Dig Through Time, 3 Hordeling Outbursts, 1 Burmaz, 1 Monastery Mentor.
Seems like players are just trying a lot of different things in the deck.
Yep.
Kind of see what sticks. Temple of Triumph to start things off here for Wiggins. Put the top card to the bottom. He'll take a draw step now. Dig Through Time is what he's found.
This is the type of strategy where I would want to just be really redundant. I feel like there's the core of cards that's very good, and you should be maximizing how many of those cards you draw.
1 Swept Teeth and a passing, Flooded Strand and a passing at the turn. There's Nurborg. And Richards just passing the turn. Surprising to see no 1 or 2 drop from this deck. There's a copy of Mana Confluence. Gonna use the Urborg for black mana, so the Flooded Shrine can actually add mana. And now there's a Goblin Rabble Master. Let's see if there's a removal spell for this. Nope, just 1. Wow. Now I'm very interested in what's in Adam Richards' hand.
Very slow keep here from Adam.
Take a draw. There's white mana. There's Anafenza. Makes a little more sense. And draws a Mystic Monastery. There's a temple. Take a little look. Top card will stay on top. Another goblin, and we go.
And Travis with Lightning Strike left over, so it's pretty good for Travis no matter how Adam blocks. So he either trades with the Rabble Master or he can Lightning Strike post-combat if Anafenza goes in front of a token.
Yeah, and be happy with this exchange for sure. And now, assuming that things line up appropriately, he's going to sacrifice his Flooded Strand. He can play a Hordeling Outburst post-combat. There's Basic Island.
Yeah, he wants to sack the Flooded Strand at this point, even though it still makes mana because of the Urborg, because he has Dig Through Time in hand that he's trying to play towards. And he has enough mana to function too, so getting an island out of the deck is nice.
It doesn't take much to slow down Wiggins' start. Drowned in Sorrow simply, I don't want to say wins the game for Adam Richards, but it's certainly a good one.
Yeah.
So he has 3 copies of that in his sideboard. There is the outburst. So 3 more goblins coming in. And now passing of the turn back to Richards, who will draw very quickly. Play a Temple of Silence. Take a look at the top card. It's going to become the bottom card. There's Nana Fenza.
So this again plays right nicely into Travis's Lightning Strike.
Travis will draw another copy of Dig Through Time. And it's time for the red zone. Quick block. I imagine a quick Lightning Strike here in just a moment. Just figuring out how he wants to go about tapping the mana. Maybe he wants to leave himself the ability to cast Dig Through Time as well.
I don't know if he has enough. He's going to get a total number of cards in his graveyard to be able to dig. Seems unlikely.
And there's the strike. So we'll lose a token before damage will come across. And we'll just pass the turn back. A little surprised not to see him play the land that turn.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be casting a Dig Through Time here, so as much mana as he can make available is important for him.
There's a Sorin. Here's a Vampire token. And we'll go back Wiggins' way. Wiggins will draw a Plains. So that'll come into play. Little math there does show that he can cast Dig Through Time if he'd like, and it looks like he's going to do that right away. So Travis will take a look at the top 7. And we'll be taking 2 with him momentarily. Jeskai Ascendancy among the options here. And he quickly selected 2 cards. Boy.
Most of what was going on there was lands, so.
And Ascendancy and an Outburst.
This is a pretty slow hand. I mean, this turn, he can go after Sword if he wants to, but he loses one of his tokens. He doesn't have anything to follow up with. And I think Adam with Wingmate Rock in hand gets to really recover on the board.
A little surprising here, goes after Adam and not the Sorin.
Yeah, this is going to be a really big swing here as Adam can plus the Sorin, get a little bit more insulation, gain some life, hit for 3, and now Wingmate Rock post-combat.
Wingmate Rock is a real nice one post-combat. So there is the rock and the bird to come along with it. That'll be the stabilizer here for Richards as Wiggins will draw. Copy of Valorous Stance. Not a bad draw step there for Travis. Has the ability now to play Jeskai Ascendancy and start really get rocking and rolling here. So there is the Ascendancy. Here are the attacks. He's going after Sorin this time. Looks like before blockers, he'll have to take 1 to play a Valorous Stance. Or perhaps he could tap that Mana Confluence for black and not take any damage at all. Thanks to Urborg being in play. Ascendancy will trigger, untaps all the creatures. Time to draw and discard. Looks like he's happy to discard Hordeling Outburst. A passing of the turn.
Finding out momentarily here how those attacks were broken up.
I looked at the Valor Stance took place
After
blocks occurred.
Yep.
So I want to make sure that that Sorin's actually supposed to still be on the battlefield. There's a Llanowar Waste. Let's see what this is going to be. That's a Fleecebane line with a lot of mana available. Here are the attacks. And Richard's going to get to gain some life here, too, which is a really big deal.
Yep, and just trying to close out the game in the air, which is a spot where, right now Travis doesn't have a lot of game.
And it's a spot where Jeskai Tokens really doesn't have a lot of game, honestly. With the removal of Mantis Rider from this sort of strategy, they're really just on the ground. Fleecebane Lion going to become indestructible and hexproof now, thanks to Monstrosity activation.
Another problematic situation here for Jeskai Tokens, because now even if Travis is converted into some sort of end hostility package, it doesn't work.
Mystic Monastery comes in. Here's 5 mana. There's a Stormbreath Dragon. And just a passing of the turn. Richards will draw.
Yeah, Stormbreath's a pretty annoying card here for Abzan aggro. Abzan Charm does not remove it. A lot of the creatures are white.
And taking a look at the ability to kill this card, Richards does have 2 copies of Hero's Downfall in the main deck. A lot of the ways that he would traditionally take care of creatures, Valor's Stance, Abzan Charm, not going to get the job done. Murderous Cut also still in the main deck, too.
Yeah.
There are some attacks. Now, Richards does have a copy of Abzan Charm in hand that he can use to give creatures +2/+2, or distribute counters if you'd like.
Yeah, you can put one on the rock token and one on the vampire.
Yeah. It looks like he's going to put 2 over there on the vampire. Push through 5 points of damage.
Yeah, Siege Rhino in hand, so
Yeah.
that's the other way to do this.
That might be your winning combination. There is a Siege Rhino. And that is going to get the job done. Adam Richards is going to take care of Travis Wiggins here, 2 games to 1. Abzan aggro will take care of Jeskai Tokens, and for Richards, he also moves on to 9-2. Abzan aggro, one of the most represented decks here on day 2.
And very solid win there, game 3 after